I already been there 2 months for some shit that didn't involve me. You were a damn liar. You ordered that boy Layton to jump on Cox. And you been involved in a host of other shit. So don't tell me that you ain't done. You know what, Hernandez? Do what you gotta do, I said low and slow, to let him know that I wasn't hardly giving a fuck about what he was stressing on. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll just do that. But you remember, when you go up for parole, can I leave now? I asked, bored with his threats. Actually, the rock wasn't all that bad. I ate all my meals in the cage, showered every other day, and came out once a day for an hour, usually in the morning. I was able to have my radio and a few tapes. At that time, I was exploring the blues. Jimmy Reed was my favorite. I still got my weekly visits, though I couldn't decide who I wanted to have come. At YTS, they allow prisoners to have only one female on their visiting list, other than mothers and sisters. Tamu really was not my first choice, China was. But she didn't have the mobility to be there every week, and riding the bus was suicidal. So I took her off my visiting list and replaced her with Ayana, who was also from the hood. Her mother had moved her out to Pomona to get her out of the gang environment, and she now lived in close proximity to YTS. Our visits went like clockwork, but eventually we grew tired of each other, so I took her off my list. For a short time, I replaced Ayana with Valencia, Trey Ball's sister. This didn't work out too well either, because she wanted me to stop gangbanging, and I just wasn't having it. I was not giving up my career for no female, so I ended up putting Tamu back on my list. As long as I got my visits and I could keep my music, the rock wasn't shit. In my cell on the rock, I reread for the 100th time Message to the Oppressed. Malcolm came on strong. We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary. As I read on, I felt the words seeping deeper into me, their power coursing through my body, giving me strength to push on. I was changing, I felt it. For once I didn't challenge it or see it as being a threat to the established mores of the hood, though of course it was. Muhammad's teachings corresponded with my condition of being repressed on the rock. Never could I have been touched by such teachings in the street. But on the rock, the illusion of freedom vanished. In its place was the harsh actuality of oppression and the very real sense of powerlessness over destiny. Because there was no shooting war to concentrate on, your worst enemy was easily replaced by the figure presently doing you the most harm. In prisons, this figure is more often than not an American. An American who locks you in a cage, counts you to make sure you haven't escaped, holds a weapon on you, and in many instances, shoots you. Add to this the fact that most of us grew up in an 80% New African community policed or occupied by an 85% American pig force that is clearly antagonistic to any male in the community, displaying this antagonism at every opportunity by any means necessary with all the brute force and sadistic imagination they can muster. It was quite easy then for Muhammad's teachings to hit me in the heart. However, my attraction to the facts involving our national oppression was grounded in emotionalism, and 8 years of evolutionary development in Crip culture could hardly be rolled back by one pamphlet and a few trips to Islamic services. But I did feel the strength. I called off the move on the 60s after Trey Ball killed himself. Everyone asked why, but I really had no answer. I told them that we handle it in a little while. Staggerly was my neighbor on the rock. He and I would talk through a small hole in the wall. I sent him over the Message to the Oppressed pamphlet and solicited a response from him about its contents. "Cuz," I said, bending down so as to talk through the hole, "what do you think about that paper I sent over there?" "I don't know, some of these words too hard for me to read, cuz. But I can see that this some powerful shit." "Well, what you could catch, what do you think?" "Cuz, really, I think Muhammad is some kind of terrorist or something." "Stag, you tripping. Muhammad ain't no terrorist. Shit, Muhammad is down for us." "Who?" he asked. "The set? Hell nah. Ninja, black people." "Oh, cuz, fuck all that. Cause he gonna be telling us to stop banging and shit." Stag. I tried to slow him down. Nah, cuz I can't see me being no Muslim. I just can't see it. They be standing on corners selling pies and shit. Do you know how long one of us would live standing on a corner? Not even in our hood. Monster, let me catch a sissy. Muslim or not. And I'ma blow that ninja up. I don't know, homie. I just feel there is something there. Yeah, motherfucker, a bean pie. Stag answered and broke out laughing. Stall it out, cuz, I said, feeling myself getting angry. Monster, you ain't thinking about being no Muslim, is you? Cuz, don't do it. Muhammad cool and everything, but cuz, you Monster Kody. Ain't nobody gonna let you live in peace. Plus, the set needs you, cuz. Here, cuz, Stag had rolled up the pamphlet and was pushing it through the hole. Nah, cuz, I ain't thinking about turning no Muslim. I'm just saying that what Muhammad be stressing is real. Right. Well, I'ma step back and get some Z's. I'll rap to you later. 3 minutes. I lay on my bed with the rolled up pamphlet on my chest and thought about what Stag had said. You Monster Kody, and ain't nobody gonna let you live in peace. The set needs you. My young consciousness screamed back in an attempt to exert itself. Who is Monster Kody? I am Monster Kody. A person, a young man, a black man. Anything else? No, not that I know of. What is Monster Kody? A Crip, an 8-tray, a rolling 60 killer, a black man. The words reverberated again and again. Nobody gonna let you live in peace. We ain't gonna let you live in peace. Black men. Why? My consciousness shouted. Why? I had no answer. The confusion gave me a headache. I knew that I was reaching the crossroad, but I didn't know how to handle it. Should I accept it or reject it? In a perverted sort of way, I enjoy being Monster Kody. I live for the power surge of playing God, having the power of life and death in my hands. Nothing I knew of could compare with riding in a car with 3 other homeboys with guns, knowing that they were as deadly and courageous as I was. To me, at the time in my life, this was power. It made me feel responsible for either killing someone or letting them live. The thought of controlling something substantial like land never occurred to me. The thought of responsibility for the welfare of my daughter or nation, New Africa, never crossed my mind. I was only responsible to my hood and my homeboys. Now I was being subjected to a wider reality than I had ever known. Then I heard it. As I was struggling with this dilemma, I grasped the point that Muhammad was trying to make. When you were born black. That's all. Then, later on, you turn Crip, dig? In this light, I found clarity. But I asked myself, what was Muhammad really asking of us? Did I have to be a Muslim to be black? I surmised that it was like being a Crip or a Blood, as opposed to being a Hook or a civilian. Where I came from, in order to be down, you had to be in. Did I have to be in, that is, a Muslim, to be down with blackness? Surely much thought and internal debate had to go into this issue. My thing was this. I didn't believe there was a God. I just had no faith in what I couldn't see, feel, taste, hear, or smell. All my life I have seen the power of life and death in the hands of men and boys. If I shot at someone and I hit him and he died, who took his life, me or God? Was it predestined that on this day, at this time, I would specifically push this guy out of existence? I never believed that. I believed that I hunted him, caught him, and killed him. I had lived in too much disorder to believe that there was an actual design to this world. So I had a problem with believing in anything other than myself. My interest here was drawn by the militants of Malcolm X and Muhammad, not by the spirituality of Islam. The first book I got was Soul on Ice by Eldridge Cleaver. Most of it was too hard to grasp, but what I did get was militant and strong. I found that this was my preference. I was subsequently taken off the rock and put back in Unit 3 in Company UV. While attending school for my GED, I met a brother named Walter Brown. Bro, who worked at YTS as a teacher but functioned better as a guiding light, had been a prisoner himself in the 1960s. He was stern but flexible and held great influence over most of us who were considered OGs. Brown was militant but responsible. Not to imply that militants are responsible, but Brown was specifically responsible for Not to imply that militants are irresponsible, but Brown was specifically responsible for the upbringing of us, young, new African males. His degree of effectiveness can be measured by the fact that he was designated to teach parole classes. That gave him access to prisoners for 1 week, 1 hour a day before they were paroled. This skimpy time frame could not possibly have helped prisoners deal with the multi-complex phenomena of society. Most of what was taught was useless, old institutional garbage that was not applicable on the streets. Brown, however, was beyond that and taught hardcore reality politics that drew those of us who listened closer to the brink of consciousness. Some of us, those Brown felt had potential, would stop by class long before pre-parole and sit and listen to him talk about the raw reality of America. Kody, Brown would say, these white folks ain't playing, man. They will lock you up, lock you down, lock you in, just like they have locked you out of this society. If you haven't got any marketable skills to sustain an income on your own, man, your chances of survival are slim. You are high risk living, actually just existing. You young, black, unskilled, strong, you smoke cigarettes. Nah, just blow. Well, that's good enough. You use drugs, you drink, and to top it off, you gangbanging. Man, how you gonna make it? Man, I don't know. Brown, like Muhammad, had a great impact on my development, though it took a few years to appreciate their contribution. The strongest new African men I had known up until that time were gangbangers. Verbalizing was not an issue. Shoot first and let the victims' relatives ask questions.